The Golden State Warriors and Steve Kerr have a development issue when it comes to some of their young players recently. We're going to debate that on today's show.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the good word, everyone? Welcome into Locked On Warriors, a Friday edition, or whenever and wherever you're listening to this audio podcast, or on YouTube, checking us out. We appreciate you for hanging out with us. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and remember, it's the off season, so the large majority of these shows are evergreen. You can listen to them on Sunday, on Tuesday, whatever floats your boat. Catch up on past episodes as well. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook, and right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. What's up, everyone? Charlie Walter here, formerly at 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. That's the flagship radio station for the Golden State Warriors. Also covered the team for CBS News Bay Area. On today's show, the premise is simple. Steve Kerr, especially in the comments on YouTube, I'm sure it's very different on the concourses of Chase, out at Thrive City, heading around the Bay Area, wherever you may be, out in North Beach or down in San Jose, from border to border, wherever you may be, Peninsula to East Bay. I think the reaction is probably different than on the internet. But on the internet, you get a lot of Steve Kerr hate. I guess that's the fairest way to put it for a coach that's won as many championships as he has as player and coach, and gold medals too. But he takes some heat, and rightfully so. We've questioned him a lot on this program, a lot do with rotations and a lot do with some of his handling of younger players over the years that you think have more talent than some veterans maybe that get the minutes and do some of the things that Steve Kerr wants. But unfortunately, it's like anything in life. Reps are everything. And it's been a little bit of a quagmire, somewhat. It's been questioned about the lack of development with young talent. And is it the issue that he just can't develop young talent, or is the issue the Dubs just haven't had enough talent to develop? That's what we're talking about on today's show. First of all, NBA Finals tied up at 2-2. The Oklahoma City Thunder do their thing, and what a finish it was. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 15 points in the final, 4:38. Started getting to the free throw line. Nembhard's defense was incredible all game. Fell off a little late. Gilgeous-Alexander had 35 points, and the Thunder, instead of being down 3-1, because it looked like for a large portion of the second half, they were going to be down 3-1. Instead, the series heads back to Oklahoma City, tied up at 2 games apiece. Stephen A. Smith went viral during the game for playing solitaire. I don't know if you saw the pictures, but everyone's saying, Stephen A., how can you know a lot about everything if you're playing solitaire during the game? And of course, Damage Control said, no. It's not from Stephen A. himself, but from the Stephen A. stands out there. They said it was probably during halftime, and someone snapped a shot, panoramic view with a scoreboard in the background, and it was during the middle of the game. So Stephen A. plays solitaire and then cooks up takes with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Respect the grind. Any way you can get it done. One of my other favorite things about the game, the Dumb and Dumber outfits, courtside, the orange and what is it? Carolina blue suits that Harry and Lloyd Christmas, what a man, that they rock to that ball or whatever it is and spend thousands of dollars on them. Someone was a pair of dudes, random middle-aged men, probably my age, were literally sitting next to Rick Carlisle and just going after the refs, that entire crowd going after the refs. And ESPN just never panned in on them. They never made a joke about it. From what I heard, it was just like, are we going to acknowledge that those fans are there in Dumb and Dumber suits and the best seats in the house? So, hey, you're rich, you go to the game, you buy a suit, and you become legends on TV. So props to you. Anyways, on to the Warriors. A dynasty was created by drafting and developing young talent, specifically 3 Hall of Famers. But that was more than a decade ago. And now I'm seeing a lot of chatter that this organization, specifically Steve Kerr, cannot develop young talent. The thing that stands out first is Jonathan Kuminga. That has been somewhat of an issue. He clearly has talent. He can clearly put the ball in the basket. You would think you could find a way to weave him in. Steve Kerr hasn't been able to do that, at least consistently. And it obviously got a little funky this year with Jimmy Butler taking his role, Kuminga being injured when Butler took the role. And then by the end of the season, Kerr's just trying to make it work. And he could have, but he didn't. And the Warriors won a lot of games until Steph Curry got hurt. And at that point, it was too late. It has not been a seamless transition for JK. Okay. So feel free to say that Kerr and company have not developed Kuminga specifically. That's fair. I'm not going to argue that. But if you want to go back to James Wiseman, he was always injured, hasn't done anything anywhere else since. So I'll blame the pick and I'll blame a little bit of bad luck before I'll blame a development aspect there, because Wiseman's best season was his first year when Kerr was developing him, giving him some time. Then he got hurt. Jacob Evans, another first-round pick, he should have still been playing for Mick Cronin. Honestly, Bob Myers could have given me a call after the Martin twins shut him down and torched him in that Nevada, Cincinnati, Nevada, just the debacle that went down. And if Bob Myers would have given me a call, I would have said no. He's not big enough. He's not a consistent enough shooter. His game's going to work at the collegiate level because he can get to the rim. He's not going to be able to do that at the next level. He's not an elite shooter. Like, do not bring him in. He should still be in college. And they brought him in. So that's more on the pick than the development. Evans hasn't done anything else anywhere. So aside from that, you look at Jordan Poole. He was developed. He helped you win a title. Andrew Wiggins took a step forward under Kerr and company. Looney got significantly better. So the argument's just flawed in a lot of ways. Again, the Kuminga one, you can use that as an isolate. But in terms of overall, it's more so the Warriors just haven't had a lot of great picks and a lot of talent. Since Looney in 2015, the top 30 picks that the Warriors have had, Damian Jones, bad pick. He did nothing elsewhere. Evans at 28, like we said, bad pick. No one was developing him. He was a good college player that was just bad evaluation. Poole at 28, great pick, developed for the Warriors. Wiseman, nobody's been able to develop him. Kuminga and Moody, the jury's still out, but I will say Moody had a good year, had his best year. He continues to get better. And Baldwin, Patrick Baldwin Jr., another first-round pick, he does not appear to really be on a path to doing much at this point in his NBA career. Pods is developed. Second-round guys like Post and Santos have clearly gotten better. Hell, this organization developed Gary Payton second, and Otto Porter had the best season of his career playing for this team in his lone year. So find me a player other than Kevin Durant. Name one. Maybe Harrison Barnes, Kevin Durant. There's a couple. But find me other players aside from that has left the Warriors and had a ton of success elsewhere. Anyone I'm missing? Help me out, chat. The Dubs have only had 3 lottery picks since Harrison Barnes, who I mentioned was developed by the Warriors after not doing a ton in his rookie year. I guess he was really good in his rookie year, but got better. He was honorable mention all rookie, I believe, if I'm getting the facts right. But he got better. They developed him. But the fact that the 3 recent lottery picks the Warriors have had, Kuminga, Moody, James Wiseman, they haven't worked out as of right now. One of them for sure. 2 of them we'll see. All different reasons they haven't worked out. And it's why some fans are under the assumption that this organization has lost their magic touch in developing, that magic touch that helped this entire thing turn into one of the greatest sports dynasties in history and one of the, you can count it on one hand, greatest NBA dynasties of all time. All right, on the show, we're talking about the potential doomsday that the Golden State Warriors face and how they can stay out of purgatory or even worse, irrelevancy when that 2027 year comes. We're debating and continuing this conversation that's coming up on Locked On Warriors.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
Oh, let me tell you about a new sponsor, OLIPOP. A new kind of soda made for people that love the fresh taste of the classic soda, but want something that literally supports their health. Use it on scan it on any health app. It is good for you. Legit. With just 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of prebiotic fiber in every can, OLIPOP is reimagining soda in a way that's better for your gut. Traditional sodas, they're loaded with sugar. They got 39 grams in regular Coke, 44 grams in orange Fanta. OLIPOP flips that script with just a fraction of the sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and gut-friendly ingredients like Ollie Smart, a blend shown to literally support digestive and overall health. It's soda that tastes like the real thing, but actually does something good for your body. My favorite, cream soda. Tastes like the real thing. It's delicious. If you don't believe me, now you do. You got Dr. Pepper dupes like Dr. Goodwin. The prebiotic blend will make you feel good. Nostalgic flavors that you love. Fruity, tropical punch. You got grape, you got orange, a little bit of everything, and you feel a lot better when you drink an OLIPOP. So get a free can of OLIPOP. Just buy any 2 cans in store, and they'll reimburse you for one. Head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can and find OLIPOP near you. That's drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. Let's get back to the show. Have an OLIPOP, everyone. Back to some Golden State Warriors talk. Let's go back to the Kuminga conversation, because everyone's going to point to Kuminga, and again, it's fair that you question the way that Steve Kerr's handled Jonathan Kuminga. Absolutely, he's got talent. He's clearly shown that he's good. Kerr just has shown some hesitancy to play him unless he's in a position where he needs to. And even when he's in a position where he needs to, like in the Wolves series, still didn't give him free reign to run 40. You know, he'd go 32, whatever it may be. He'd pull him for Spencer, pull him for Santos at times where you're like, Steve, you need some scoring, my guy. But when it comes to like Nico Mannion or Justinian Jessup or go down the list of picks 48 through 60, don't tell me that it's a bum organization because Nico Mannion didn't work out. The fact of the matter is the Warriors have not had high draft picks for obvious reasons. They butchered their lone top 5 pick. They haven't traded for a lot of young talent. They've consistently kept, the loonies of the world, the Draymonds, Clay for forever, Steph Curry, Iguodala. They had a long list of guys that were the core for many years. But with that being said, when they did bring in young players that had, higher picks like a Looney or a Jordan Poole or trading for an Andrew Wiggins, they usually worked out. Take away a few trades here and there. We all know what we're pointing to when it comes to those that didn't work out. But the fact that the Warriors butchered their only top 5 pick is another reason that the recency bias gets to us. But they do have a treasure trove of draft picks coming up. Steve Kerr may not be a part of those decisions when it comes to developing them. This is the last year of his current contract. He says that he's year to year, loves coaching, can't see himself voluntarily stepping away. But if the Warriors sputter, there's a good chance that maybe they decide to flip the chapter on an unbelievable era and try a little something new. But let's get a little more data, just a little more data before we say this group of decision makers can't develop young players, because as the facts just stated, it's not true. They've struck out on a few, they've hit on a few, and they've had a lot of picks that, for the most part, 28 in the draft, 26 in the draft, most teams aren't hitting on those. And Mike Dunleavy appears to be pretty good at his job. And if you are a Warriors fan, you're satisfied with what he's done, given the circumstances, given the picks he's had. And I mean, think about flipping Jimmy. or flipping Wiggins for Jimmy. That deal that Dunleavy has on his resume, that's got to make you feel pretty good about the current GM that's running things. However, the immediate future of the Dubs, it's not reliant on draft picks. It is reliant on Dunleavy and Kerr and Lacob and the entire operation. But it's a really solid nucleus of veterans. That is what the Warriors are relying on this upcoming season, because I do not think the Dubs are as far away as some are giving them credit for. It's the Pacers, Thunders, Oklahoma City Thunder in the finals right now. It's 2 games apiece tied up in the series as we head back to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City was not very beatable this season. They won 68. The Warriors did beat them 2 out of 3 and were in it every single time. And we never got to see a matchup with Jimmy Butler on the floor. Who knows how he could have affected that series had the Warriors had a chance with a healthy Steph. One thing is for certain, they don't have a lot of bargaining room right now. They can only make so many moves. They have to be calculated. And most of the money that they are spending this offseason or will have on their roster entering next season is already a part of it right now, assuming you don't break up Draymond, Jimmy Butler, and Steph Curry. But I want to talk about just the right veteran piece to all this, because they're out there. And sometimes it's not even a veteran. Sometimes it's a young player that's coming to his own, like Obi Toppin. We saw him for the Indiana Pacers play a big role, sure in a loss, but solid role players like that other teams think are just, throwaway pieces. We're not going to lose any sleep over it. We're going to trade him for someone else or for a future pick down the road, or you find a team that's in desperate times and just wants to get off payroll, whatever, and you bring that player in and see if he can be a fit, much like an Otto Porter. We're going to discuss this coming up on Locked on Warriors. Let's tell you about America's #1 sports book. It is FanDuel. NBA playoffs, they're almost over. It's been a good time, but we are to the championship game as we head to Game 5 in OKC. And there's still no better time to get in on the action than literally right now, this second. It makes it easy to stay in the game, does FanDuel. Before tip-off and live, you got player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. If you think you know which players are showing up in the biggest moment, there's player props. 17.5 points. You think they're scoring 25, smash the over. Unders, you can do that as well. Points totals, you have them. And if you got a read on who's heating up, you can do a same game parlay, assists, points, whatever. And how does a $200 bonus bet add to the excitement? If your first $5 bet wins, sounds pretty good to me. So head to FanDuel. It's the perfect time to sign up. FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you will get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's get back to the show. So the Warriors dynasty can be attributed to many things. Let's start with drafting. Clearly, that's the biggest thing. Anyone that says Kerr before drafting is delusional, but anyone that says Kerr didn't play a big part in it is also delusional. But drafting is one. Diamond hands is two. Not trading Clay for Kevin Love, among various things. And then third is a great hire at coach. For all of those, with the Steve Kerr is lucky take, and Mark Jackson would have done this exact same thing. Look, Kerr turned a mediocre. I mean, Jackson had the defense going in the right direction, no doubt about that. But Kerr turned a mediocre offense, despite having tons of talent, an ISO, feed the hot hand offense, and made them the best distributing team, selfless team overnight. And the Luke Walton argument can be made. He did have a 24-0 start, then failed in Sacramento. Sure, but Kerr had instilled everything at that point. His presence, I would think, was felt all season. If you truly think that Kerr isn't the guy and the game has moved on, and I'm talking about the guy right now, and the game has moved past him, you're entitled to your own opinion. This is his last season of his contract, and if the Warriors don't have a successful season, I think there'd be plenty of fans out there that may say, you know what, let's see what else is around. It's been a great run, but all good things come to an end. It happens. It's sports. But you also can appreciate how quickly the flaws of Mark Jackson back in the day were fixed as soon as he walked through the door, like immediately walked through the door. But the second thing that helped, and it happened steadily, but it was like every offseason, bang, 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 bang. Warriors would get just a few vets in every single time that just filled the role of what they needed in that given offseason. Every single time. Mo Spates and Iguodala to start. Then Sean Livingston and Barbosa. Then Zaza, a very old David West at this point, because David West, CP3 running around on the old New Orleans Hornets back in the day. That was prime David West. But David West for the Warriors, get out of the way, know your role. You're a savvy vet, and that's exactly what he did. Et cetera, et cetera. Name the veteran that I'm missing here. The team had their core in place, and they just perfectly tailored savvy veterans around that core that knew their role. They brought in a coach, and everything clicked just like that. 10 years later, and that's what we need again. Because like I said, I do not think that the Warriors are 1,000% cooked, but they're probably 98%. I mean, it's going to be an uphill climb. Aging superstars and a younger core that's on their way that doesn't appear to have, unless you are one of those people that believes that Kuminga's that guy, they don't have that guy in the next crop. Podziemski, he's good. Moody, he's solid. Post, he's good for where he was picked, and anyone that can hit threes at a 40% clip with that frame, 7 feet, is extremely valuable. But they do not have that guy unless he comes out of nowhere, or unless it's Kuminga, obviously. But they were up 1-0 in the second round of the NBA playoffs after taking down the second seed. Curry gets hurt. Obviously, things change. But last we checked, 1-0 in the second round. That's pretty close. I mean, pretty close. How close can be debated, but to act like the Warriors and the Kings have the same title chances right now entering this offseason, it's lunacy. The issue is Golden State doesn't have many avenues to getting better, and other teams do. If OKC doesn't pull this thing out against the Indiana Pacers and they lose in 6 or 7, they can drastically change things this offseason to get in a supplementary piece that gets them over the top. Rockets, potentially the same thing. Spurs can make some moves. Teams can do some crazy things. The Warriors, with the way that their financial situation is set up, it's just going to be difficult for the Dubs to do that. The Warriors' avenue to getting better is also an avenue that can kind of shoot them in the foot. It's definitely a double-edged sword, I would say. The avenue to getting better is getting older. For Pods, Post, Moody, Kuminga, the term maturing is a good thing. For Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, that word cannot exist this year. If they mature at this day and age, I mean, if Draymond matures, maybe we view it as a different way, right? But if their game matures, their physicality, their body matures, then it's not good. Can the Dubs work magic this offseason, mainly with vet minimums, and bring in the right veterans? Maybe they were injured. Maybe you're talking a player like Robert Williams, or obviously Melton's the stock answer, being a Warrior last year, but someone that just kind of turns into your Otto Porter, your Gary Payton, your buy low candidate that all of a sudden fits in and helps win an NBA championship. Or if you can't bring in the right veterans and you just don't have enough space to bring them in, are you going to run this thing back and rely on the youth? The youth taking steps and the veterans finding the fountain of youth? We'll see. I want to talk about the future. I'm talking 3 years from now, how the Warriors can someday avoid doomsday. Somehow, some way, avoid doomsday, not someday. We know it's coming eventually. Doomsday's the day when Steph is gone. And it doesn't necessarily have to be doomsday, right? Like there are opportunities to seamlessly flow into the next iteration of Warriors basketball, and they're a 2 seed following that next season. Unfortunately, the way that everything is constructed currently, who sees a path to that at this moment based on players that are Warriors? You don't really see it. You see some ancillary pieces that can be sputtered throughout a lineup if they had, some extreme talent at the top, which maybe they can get. But everyone's 1,000% assuming that the full rebuild is coming. Now, your path to avoiding that is lean into Kuminga, Moody, Pods, or just trade them for a bunch of different players who can be a young trio of capable assets. Warriors are eventually going to have $150 million coming off their books in 3 players. In a perfect world, Kuminga, Pods, and Moody at that point will still be giving you returns, whether through trade or whether it's through their actual being in the Bay Area. 3 young dudes who have had their moments, but again, no stars out of the bunch, at least as of now. Now, in theory, I need help on this because couldn't you just take the $150 million and literally sign whoever you wanted? But maybe there's some negative apron that comes into play. NBA is so damn confusing. Maybe there's only so much you can spend. And I don't even know how that would work. There's probably something that would not allow the Warriors to do that. Just go $150 million in the free agent market. I'll have to look into that one. But maybe the better question is, we're overselling, or are we overselling how attractive Golden State is as a market? Because it's crazy to think that this franchise is now in the final chapters of a story that saw them go from being a $315 million franchise to $8 billion in 20 years. 315, less than 20 years, 15 years. I mean, crazy. I remember back in the day playing Kobe Bryant's courtside on the 64. And by the way, MySpace top 5, real quick to weave in. Top 5 in 64 games. We'll hear it in the chat and comments. We'll go, one's got to be Super Smash Bros. I mean, Fox running around with that laser. 2, we'll go with Mario Kart, although Diddy Kong Racing was up there, but we're going Mario Kart. Classic, even fun for the adults. Super Mario 64, we're going 3. We'll go GoldenEye 4 for the music alone, and then 5. We'll go Mario Tennis. It was like John Isner out there with Waluigi, and quite frankly, the most overrated game of all time, Mario Party, where you're just jamming on the controllers, takes no skill. It's nostalgic, yes, but Mario Tennis number 5. Anyways, where was I? Kobe Bryant's courtside on the 64. I remember we used to do the thing where we held the joystick down closed our eyes for 15 seconds and would pick a random team. And if you landed on the Golden State Warriors, they were dreaded. They were dreadful all the way through NBA Live. Until you got to 2K, you didn't get many good Golden State Warriors teams. Now, the old heads were busting out NBA Jam and running with Molly Hardaway because it was bad for the iterations of those other games. But a ton of it can be pointed to the Warriors not landing anyone in the free agent market. There were tons of them in that era. I mean, Shaq signed with the Lakers. Chauncey went to Detroit. Nash to the Suns. Vlade to Sacramento. Tracy McGrady to the Raptors. And actually saw someone compare the Kuminga thing to Tracy McGrady. Like McGrady didn't get enough burn and didn't get the respect he deserved for the Raptors and then went to the Magic, and the rest is history. And all I got to say is, please stop comparing Tracy McGrady and Jonathan Kuminga. With all due respect to Jonathan Kuminga, great player, Tracy McGrady in the T-Mac shoes, just outstanding. But the Warriors weren't landing a bunch of players in the free agent market. Seriously. Matt Barnes, David Lee, Iguodala took less money to sign with the Dubs, and that was unprecedented in this millennium. But it currently lines up that the Warriors are going to have that king's ransom to spend in free agency. Would you be able to get that type of player? Post Curry, how desirable and attractive is the Bay Area to live in for players and be the follow-up to Steph Curry? Because as of this moment, I think Jokic is a free agent that year. They'll be big-time players. There always are. And the Warriors are going to have the money to court them. The question is, are they going to be interested in playing in the Bay Area? So it's fascinating. But if you weave back in Pods, Moody, JK, or whoever they're traded for to bring in that young core, let's say you have a nice young core, all of a sudden you could hypothetically, in a crazy situation, avoid doomsday if you landed one or two of the best players in the league. Now, obviously, pipe dream, but you do have that flexibility that the Warriors do not have at the current moment to go out and really land anyone the old-fashioned way, which is just opening up the pocketbook and bringing them in through free agency. Money's coming off the books. We're going to bring some money in the books. The Warriors don't have that. Let's say we get a few years down the road, though, and Pods, Moody, JK, they've amounted to nothing in terms of being outstanding players collectively. They're solid basketball players and nothing more. And the history is indeed true that top free agents don't want to come to the Bay Area. Then you're really back to needing to strike gold on 3 Hall of Fame draft picks again, or you're going to be in purgatory. Indiana and OKC have both showed the importance of young, movable assets. Indiana specifically had a $16 million Sabonis at the time and flipped him into Tyrese Halliburton. The Warriors don't have a lot of these assets currently. I mean, Pods is $3 million. Great. He's a great cherry on top of the whipped cream in a deal that could get it over the top because he is so cheap. But a Pods for name it trade, it's not doing anything for you because Pods is one of the better $4 million players in the league. You're not going to get much better value than him just trading him away alone. Moody, I mean, he's a contract that you can look into, but aside from that, the contracts that you wanted to flip, Kyle Anderson, you flipped them. Dennis Schroeder, that Melton contract, flipped that. I don't think Lindy Waters was making a ton, but those were the players that, had removable assets. Let's put it that way. The other option that you can do is when you have a player at the top of their game and you find another team that's desperate, AKA go back 7 years or whatever, to the Clippers bringing in Kawhi. Kawhi was brought in first before Paul George. Anyways, it was right around the same time, but they're obviously making moves. They're willing to give up the farm for another star player. They get Paul George, and in return, the Thunder get SGA and the picks that have now turned into their core that are tied 2-2 in the NBA championship. So one trade is all it takes. One issue for the Warriors, that only trade is Steph Curry, because Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler, no one wants Butler's money, and Draymond's too one-dimensional to return a king's ransom. So Steph Curry is the one guy that can return you a future. Let's just hypothetically throw this out there. San Antonio, you throw Curry for Stephon Castle, for Vassell, for Sohan, for 3 first-round draft picks, something along those lines. You probably have to get other teams involved. Like that's an avenue to where maybe you could navigate things, bringing in 2 young players like Castle and Vassell that are nice, and a bunch of draft picks too, and maybe it works out that way. But we're throwing away that notion because Steph's not going anywhere. We all know this. Any realist out there knows that Steph's finishing this thing with the Warriors. If not, that's going to be insane. It's going to be a wild podcast down here, as I have to take those pictures down and put up a Quentin post on that side, and then we'll go. Who are we going to go with on an E40 picture on the right side is what we'll go with if Curry. Now we're leaving him up forever, regardless if he finishes his career in the Bay Area or not. But the expectation as of right now is he's going to finish his career in the Bay Area. So what you need to do this offseason is surround him with some seasoned veterans that make sense and likely that are on the cheap. Can the Warriors do that? It's a tall task, to say the least. But 1,000% done, No. 98% done? I mean, maybe. They're in the final stages for certain, but they do have some options. One of them being run this thing back, pretty similar to last year, and then once again, pounce at the deadline. That's always an option. Remember, the Warriors were pretty damn good with this exact team that they can literally bring back. They can bring back the entire thing. They were 25-8, 23-8 with Curry, Jimmy, Draymond, and the squad. So we will see. NBA draft's coming up. We're less than 2 weeks away, June 25th. Some more preview shows as we get you ready for that. We got Matt Kolsky coming up on our next program. For those of you that missed Kolsky, we'll be on to break things down. So next time you see one of these thumbnails pop up, be sure to check that one out to hear Matt's take on the entire situation. Actually proposed a pretty wild trade to Kolsky and said, did Chuck Walt just burn down the entire Warriors organization, or am I kind of a genius? And he, you know this, he calls me an idiot live on air. He's the guest, and he comes in and just, Chuck, quit being an idiot. And he sent me the scratching head emoji and said, I'd stew on it. You know, I'd let it simmer overnight. Anyways, this is Locked On Warriors. We appreciate you for making us a part of your day. Thanks for hanging out with us, and enjoy the start, the middle, and the end of your weekend. Make it the greatest weekend of all time. Peace, everyone.